Poll shows Kenyans are more optimistic after President Obama's visit. And patients suffer as Nakuru health workers strike enters day 3. And also in this bulletin, police officers accused of releasing a suspect free on bond. My name is Ian Wafula. Welcome to the program. Now we begin in Nakuru, where the health workers' strike is in its 3rd day today. The health workers have vowed to stay put until they're given their delayed promotion, salary arrears and missing allowances. Our Nakuru reporter Kamche Menza has been on that tour of the county and now joins us on phone with the latest. Menza, how many hospitals have you been to so far, and did you meet some of the patients, and what are they saying about this particular situation?
Thank you, Ian. Right now I'm at the 3rd hospital that is in Rongai constituency, and it's the Rongai sub-county hospital. What we have seen here, the situation is not different from the 2 other hospitals. That is Nakuru, Rift Valley Provincial General Hospital and Bahati sub-county hospital. Operations have been paralyzed. There are no health workers there, and patients actually are stranded. It's like most of them actually didn't know about the strike. They have traveled a distance, having in mind that a hospital like Rift Valley Provincial General Hospital is a referral hospital to many. So they've traveled from so far, and there are no services. Found most of them there, they're stranded. And right here now, there are sinful women who have come with their babies for vaccination, but there is no one to attend them. So they're just seated under a tree, actually, having no hope of getting any services up until now.
Menza, there are reports that perhaps a number of deaths have been reported as a result of these strikes. Is this true?
True. Ian, yesterday we had a meeting with the county deputy governor. He talked about 2 reported deaths, but he said they were not as a result of the strike, but just normal deaths. The 3 other deaths, which add up 5, I called the South Rift KMPDU Secretary General, and he told me he's calling to confirm that, and he'll get back to me in a while. But at the moment, that is the situation. It's like the reports are still not confirmed as yet, Ian.
With such situations, what are we seeing? Is there a meeting between the health workers and the county government or the Ministry of Labour, perhaps?
Yes, there was a scheduled meeting that was meant to happen this morning, but it didn't happen on reasons that the county, the unions were, according to what we are being told, is that the union, doctors' union, were supposed to submit also, to give in their submissions also, but they did not. So in the morning, what happened is that the county government gave out their submissions to the Labour office. Well, the union did not. When I called the union representatives, they said they were not told of any meeting, and that they have just received a letter at around 11 a.m. this morning. And now is when they are preparing themselves on how they will go for that meeting. But initially, they were not aware of the meeting. So nothing has taken place in the meeting so far, in any meeting so far.
Well, Menza, also the health workers in Nakuru County particularly have raised a lot of concern over how the devolution of health services has been handled in that particular county. Are you able to perhaps give us just a brief background on this particular issue and some of what the issues they're raising?
Ian, true, there have been so many grievances from health workers in this county, and considering that this is the 7th strike they are holding since people, their grievances, it's more or less, their grievances are more or less the same ever since, because even the county government says it has been trying to address them gradually, but not fully any of the grievances, starting with the promotions, the delayed promotions, payment of allowances and missing allowances, and their arrears. They have not been fully put into consideration. And those are some of the things that they have been crying for ever since up until now. So now they say enough is enough, because even the meetings they hold, they don't bear any fruit. Yeah.
And finally, Menza, just before I let you go, are we seeing the county government doing anything about this particular issue? Because patients are suffering.
I I don't know how far the county government will go, because now it's like they have resolved to take the matter to the Labour Office. It's like they have failed, or they have been challenged enough to sit down and agree on how they are going to operate without any strike. The issue that they're taking the matter to the Labour Office is a good indication that they can no longer, handle the issues or the cases that the health workers are giving to them. So we are waiting to see what will come out of the meeting that is being held with the Labour Office. Probably that one, they might find a solution.
Thank you very much there, reporter Kamche Menza, coming to us via phone from Nakuru, where, of course, the health sector is experiencing a lot of challenges with the health workers on the third day of the strike. We shall keep you updated on this particular issue. Now, a section of CORD members of parliament are questioning a recent deal signed between the Kenya and Uganda that will allow importation of sugar in the country from Uganda. Led by Kakamega Senator Boni Halwale, the MPs say the move by the head of state will not help in a revival of the process of the ailing industry in the country. They're demanding the details of the deal and explanation from the government on who is to benefit from this pact.
A decision like the one the president has made would have been acceptable to us as members of the opposition if it had followed the due process. The due process is as follows: that before a president appends his signature on any protocol in the East African community, that must be preceded by a high-level meeting amongst the permanent secretaries who make recommendations, the permanent secretaries of the partner states in the community, who make recommendations to the Council of Ministers, who deliberate and again improve on whatever the high-level meeting amongst permanent secretaries has decided.
And the Orange Democratic Movement has declared a blanket amnesty for former members who may have left the party for various reasons. The party has welcomed them to participate in the party grassroots polls slated for later this year.
The Central Committee has resolved to declare a blanket amnesty for all former members who may have left the party for one reason or the other. You are all welcome back home fully to participate in party elections and activities. Those former members who may have contested any position on the ticket of other political parties and now wish to seek leadership positions in ODM may apply to the National Elections Board for clearance.
We now want to cross over to Safari Park, where reporter Patrick Amimo joins us just on an update. Currently, we have 18 member states of the Commonwealth attending the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association Conference, which was launched yesterday by President Uhuru Kenyatta. Of course, we're seeing more than 400 participants in there. And today, they're discussing how to handle terrorism in the region. Amimo, what's the latest on this?
Thank you, Ian. This particular Commonwealth Parliamentary Association meeting is discussing the terror menace in Africa. Given that, like a country, the Horn of Africa is facing terror threats. Kenya, we've been victims in September 2013 through the Westgate attack. Recently, April this year, early April this year, we had Garissa University College being attacked by suspected Al-Shabaab militants. In West Africa, we have countries like Nigeria, Cameroon, Chad, who are battling Boko Haram. In Central Africa, we also have cases of terrorism or terrorists taking up ground in that particular area. So it is an issue that parliamentarians from the Africa region, at least 18 states are represented here. They are discussing this menace. And from the discussions so far, we've had some, like the senator for Senator Abdurrahman Hassan, who was one of the key speakers at this particular meeting, has said that it's very, very critical to win the minds of the population if we have to be successful in the fight against terror. He introduced a very controversial subject where he says that military intervention, to him, he thinks is not a very, very useful strategy of tackling terrorists. But it's a view that some of his members are not really at home with, because they say that globally other states have used military to intervene when it comes to terrorism, and they wanted him to clarify how he says that he feels that we should not use the military to tackle terrorism in the continent. It is something that he tries to clarify and say that it's very, very important maybe to work with populations, local populations, in trying to tackle the menace. There is a speaker from Nigeria who's also come out and said that the issue of poverty and corruption is also another contributing factor to terrorism in the continent. So it's something that the legislators are looking at, and they're suggesting that one way out of this menace is to come up with legislations, counter-terrorism legislations, to ensure that the things we have a terror-free continent. And one of the suggestions is that one member has suggested that we should come up with special courts that will be handling terror-related issues. The other issue that they've been looking at is this idea of having laws in place. But the concern is that most African countries, though they might have laws in place to deal with terrorism, most have not been operationalized. So members have been urged to ensure that these laws that have been enacted, at least they ensure that they are operational. Ian?
Thank you very much, Amimo, for that update. Now, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission has challenged church leaders to step the fight for peace in the country. Meeting the Evangelical Alliance of Kenya members earlier today, the NICIC chair said that they will be launching peace camps in most violence-hit counties as such Marsabit, Baringo, Samburu and Isiolo.
Needed to call the evangelical churches, because they may not be part of NCCK, they may not be part of interfaith, they may not even be part of the Catholic Church and things like that, but they are a major segment in our society. They have a big following, and they have a good representation across the country. So it is enlarging the people we have been working with, is bringing more people together and enlarging the team, so that the message can go out there through many avenues. Number two, NCIC is a very small organization. It is not present in the counties, forget about the districts or the villages, and therefore it cannot have the same reach as these other organizations. So it is also another good way in which NCIC can reach out to the Kenyans through other partners. So we are bringing this organization to us, EAK, to us as partners in this group.
The church believes in working together with government. There can never be peace in a nation if we are not united. And that's a message which the chairman and the team are sharing with the pastors, so that we help, because we do know the church is the conscience of society. And we know we have the people with us. And therefore, to me, this was a very important seminar, a very important forum, where the commission, under the able leadership of Mheshimiwa Kaparo and the commissioners, together with the church leadership, are coming together to say, what can we do to ensure that the vision of the Cohesion and Integration Commission becomes a reality, which is actually also rooted in the scriptures.
Ile damu ambayo imetunganisha ni nzito na ni bora kuliko mipaka inayotenganisha, kuliko siasa inayotenganisha, kuliko madini yanayotenganisha. Nauliza wa Kenya, kama vile bwana mwenyekiti amezungumza uwazi pamoja na viongozi wa dini, tukaweze kuwa na umoja na tuungane pamoja, kwa sababu tumeunganishwa pamoja, tusitenganishwe na vitu vingine.
Well, it has been about 3 weeks since President Barack Obama's historic visit to Kenya. The impact of his actions and words is still being felt, not just in Kenya, but around the continent. A national poll to put figures to those emotions has been released today by Strategic Africa. 1,900 Kenyans from across the country were polled to gauge the nation's pulse in the wake of the visit. 78% rather of Kenyans are of the opinion that the country is headed in the right direction. 19% of others say Kenya is headed in the wrong direction. Central Kenya and the Nairobi regions remain the most optimistic, with 96% and 80% respectively feeling positive about the country, while at the coast and Nyanza area at 64% and 48.5% respectively happy with the direction that Kenya is going. Meanwhile, 27% of Kenyans polled gave President Uhuru Kenyatta a 10 out of 10 for the way he handled the Obama visit. 2.5% of Kenyans gave him a score of 1 out of 10. He scores highest in Central and lowest in the Coast. The survey also indicates that Obama's trip and the Global Entrepreneurship Summit had a positive effect on the youth, with 82.1% of the 18 to 24-year-olds happy with the way the country is being run. Caesar Handa from Strategic Africa is now joining us live from our city center just to paint a clear picture about this particular poll. Caesar, perhaps if you can tell us, what are some of the outstanding things that you found out from President Obama's visit?
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. What is happening is that we basically sought opinions of Kenyans on what they felt the benefits of President Obama's visit to Kenya are, and what positives the country can get out of the visit. And we find that there's quite some positivity in terms of how people are seeing the visit by President Obama. Like you rightly said, people are expecting progress in the areas of investment, progress in areas of gender equality, fighting corruption, reduction in the level of insecurity in the country. And there's a general level of optimism across the country with the way the country is being run at the moment.
Well, Caesar, when you look at what annoyed the Kenyans from this particular poll, you realize that they were disappointed by the disagreement on the matter of gay rights. What do you have to say about this?
Yes, one of the questions we asked Kenyans was one thing would they say was disappointing to them during the visit. And one of the things that come out very strongly is the discussions around gay rights and the general human rights discussions in general. And you get that really is presented as one of the main areas of disappointment, that that the issue of gay rights was actually on the agenda, and two, that it was mentioned by the visiting president. But there is, on the flip side of it, Kenyans who are happy with the fact that President Uhuru actually made a clear stand with respect to the issue of gay rights and homosexuality.
Well, in light of his visit, of course, we're also seeing that Google today said that one of the most searched words were, among others, the beast. Why do you think Kenyans were interested about this particular vehicle?
Well, when you ask people about what they remember most and what they excited most about President Obama's visit, one of the things that he mentioned is, one, the sophisticated security arrangements that people saw around the time President Obama visited the country. And the fact that they saw a vehicle that is called the Beast, and which excited them quite a bit, and the fact that President Obama invited one Kenyan to get into the Beast with him. So there are excitements around that. I think these are things that people hear about or read about but never get to witness. So you get the excitement around when President Uhuru Kenyatta met President Obama at the airport, and the whole experience around that visit.
Thank you very much, Caesar Hand from the Strategic Africa Group, which just did a poll on Obama's state visit. Of course, many Kenyans impressed by the way President Uhuru Kenyatta handled the Obama visit. Now, moving on, 2 police officers from Nakuru have been arraigned in court, charged with releasing a robbery suspect. 3 others were arraigned before Kericho Senior Resident Magistrate Lilian Kinale, charged with 2 counts of abduction and attempts to extort 300,000 shillings. Charles Shikami, Francis Gitao, and Stephen Mongera were charged alongside Tanzanian Riziki Paulo with abducting Abdul Swaibu Kampaya along the Kericho-Kisumu highway. They also faced a second count of attempting to violently extort money from Kampaya. They were released on a 100,000 shillings bond with a surety of a similar amount.
I called you from Samuel for photos for the so now everybody's parallel here. This case begins. Sort yourself down. Yes. In that one of the soldiers coming with the hope for capture call.
Say for where there are compelling reasons not to.
This person, report grants there is no.
Now let's cross borders a bit. And the public sector hospitals in Ghana are paralyzed due to strike by state-employed doctors over conditions of service. The strike is putting extra pressure on private sector doctors.
Doctors in Ghana's public health facilities withdrew emergency services to back their demand for improved allowances and other non-salary benefits, a move that presents a litmus test for the government's fiscal sustainability. Ghana, which exports cocoa, oil and gold, is under a 3-year aid program with the International Monetary Fund to stabilize its economy dogged by slowing growth, widening debt and a stubbornly high budget deficit, partly attributed to a heavy public wage bill in the last election year. Doctors will embark on a full strike on Friday if negotiations with the government fail to yield results. The West African nation is also grappling with prolonged electricity outages, which have crippled industries, leading to stunted economic growth and angered voters ahead of elections next year. Apart from the doctors, university teachers have also announced withdrawal of services over delays in the payments of their books and research allowances. Other public sector workers, including psychiatric nurses, have also threatened to strike. Timothy Otieno, KTN News.
Well, let us just have a recap of some of the top stories that have made headlines at this particular hour. Take after President Obama's visit. Patients suffer as Nakuru health workers strike enters day 3. And the police officers accused of releasing a suspect freed on bond. Well, that is it for Newsdesk on KTN. Of course, Newsdesk continues on KTN News, our second channel. My name is Ian Ofula. Stay tuned.